some of the highlights of this. There was, after we had basically an hour of breakout groups, an hour of reporting by each of the bishops in front of their peers, their brothers. Archbishop Demetrius led I would say, about an hour and a half to 2 hour discussion amongst everyone there. And these are some of the major points. First and foremost, the Assembly is looking for something that's a pioneering effort. We're not looking for something that's going to be basically something that's safe or something that's comfortable. It's going to be pioneering. And in fact, America is being looked at by a lot of the other regional assemblies around the world. Because if we can make it, it's like, you know, if you, that old song about New York, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So if you can make it here in the United States, which has, you know, such a wide disparity, you know, of peoples in it, well, you know what, maybe that could be used in other places. So it's a pioneering effort. But at the same time, it's got to take into account all aspects of church life. We can't have rose-colored glasses and assume away problems. We have to address problems. We have to resolve problems. There are ethnic differences, linguistic differences, cultural differences, rubrical differences, and pastoral practice differences. So all of these have to be very seriously investigated and taken into account and resolved for us to move forward. But the one thing that we require is the canonical normalization, because this assembly is a transitional body. This assembly has a limited life. It will exist until the calling of the next great and holy council, and at that point this assembly will cease to exist, because this assembly has to present the plan for reorganization. Now, other churches may say you're crazy, but hopefully we're going to have discussions with them along the way so that those kinds of negotiations are going to be handled in a very effective way. Now, the committee, they heard our various concepts of reorganization. They said, thank you very much. Please go and even look at other models. And Patriarch, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, when he was here in America at his most recent trip, he based his advice was, and again, this is kind of unknown in Orthodox life, is think outside the box, which was very surprising to me when I heard about that. So after our meeting, the jurisdictions were going to discuss issues and also discuss it with the mother churches and feedback the opinions to the committee. But there was an important qualification. It said that the jurisdictions should engage clergy and informed laity, that they're not going to do it by themselves. And there were comments that were expressed that the shepherd should not run too fast ahead of the flock. Now, some people may think that perhaps the flock has been running ahead of the shepherd, but they at least were worried that they would run ahead of the flock. So therefore, they wanted to engage the clergy and informed laity in their discussions. Now, all that's well and good in terms of the canonical normalization, but what do we do about one of those other tasks, which was manifest the unity of the church and promote common action? And what they came up with was 3 basic steps. First, formal, frequent, and regular meetings of hierarchs in a given region. So this is already being done on the West Coast, to my understanding, that the hierarchs there are actually, have organized themselves, not as a holy synod, not as a new church or anything like that, but just meetings where the hierarchs get together and they say, on this second Tuesday in February, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about the life of the church in our region. Secondly, create opportunities for being together and concelebrating as bishops with the flock. Now, sometimes that happens. That happens on the Sunday of Orthodoxy, right? It happens on other times when, you know, it's kind of like what do you call it, an eclipse of the moon, you know, which happens every so often when 2 hierarchs are present together in the same city on the same day. It doesn't happen all the time. You know, Halley's Comet occurs, what, every 75 years. But what we're talking about here, and this is where you can play an important part, create opportunities for concelebrating. Now, we all know how bishops' calendars are established. Parishes go to them and say, we're having a 100th anniversary, 75th anniversary. We want you to have your annual visit on such and such a Sunday. Well, you know, if you're in a town and you've got a Greek church and you've got an Antiochian church or an OCA church, and you know that your hierarch comes once a year, work with the chanceries ahead of time. And in 2013, make sure that you're able to invite both the Greek and the Antiochian bishops on the same day for the Greek parishes' patronal feast day. And maybe the next year, 2014, you can do it on the Antiochian parish's feast day. So, but they're not going to do it on their own. It's just not going to happen. It's going to happen, these opportunities are going to be created because you're going to work as members of a parish council in order to make those opportunities, those common dates happen. Now the last item is hold local meetings more frequently, taking advantage of occasions, clergy brotherhood meetings. We have clergy brotherhoods all over the United States, and it's just absolutely amazing. We have one here in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, which has probably at least 35, 40, 45 members on it. And those clergy brotherhoods meet usually every month. So there's 12 meetings a year. And they can invite local hierarchs, or the regional hierarchs that are there, to those meetings so that they not only will meet the people, the priests who report to them, or the deacons who report to them, their own jurisdictions, but they'll meet and talk with, and eat with, and drink with all of the clergy of other jurisdictions. But again, ask your priest. Ask your priest what you do. Ask your priest when the next clergy brotherhood meeting is. When you host it at your parish, make sure you have a bishop there. It's not that hard. Just plan ahead. Okay. Last item here is just, it's a comment that Archbishop Demetrius made at the end, and I thought it was just so apropos. It was wonderful. He said, we must have patience, because there were people there who said, oh, this is going to take 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, and other people say, no, we have to do it tomorrow, it's a swift healing, it's as soon as possible. He says, well, look, we have to do both of those. We have to be patient, but we have to be very active at the same time. It says in the Psalms, except the Lord build a house, those who labor build it, those who build it labor in vain. But he needs our help. He needs our activity so that he can then, as his grace mentioned, that the Holy Spirit may come down upon that particular gathering. Now, that's the end of my comments that I can make officially. I'm going to give now some personal observations, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the Assembly, and I put my picture up there so that I can say, just like one of those political ads that you have on TV, I'm Protodeacon Peter, and I approve this message. So my comments are, of course, very easy to make because they're about bishops. I believe, and I've spoken and worked with probably at least half of the bishops on the Assembly of Bishops. I can tell you that those bishops that I know, I can't speak for everyone, but I believe that they truly are serious about unity. They really do believe it. When they hear the gospel being read on Holy Thursday evening, the Matins of Great and Holy Friday, and the Lord is making his high priestly prayer to the Father, and he says, that they may be one even as we are, that the world may know that you have sent me. They really believe that. That's in their hearts. And they also are serious about working together. And I think that the activities that we've had in the committees, the activities that we've had at the Assembly meetings, have shown them that it can happen. They can work together, and work together effectively. They're very aware of being a part of history. They know that this is a historic opportunity for the church and for everyone involved in it. And I believe that they want to be on the right side of history. They're aware of the challenges of it, but that's what history is made of. History is made up of challenges and our response to it. This third item here, I was really very happy to see this. They are increasingly comfortable with discussing difficult issues in an atmosphere of trust. They're comfortable with each other. We can raise more and more difficult issues, and people are not going to run screaming out of the room or accuse each other of being heretics or schismatics or you don't know how to do this or you don't know how to do that. That's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. And perhaps at the end, maybe we would ask His Grace Bishop Mark will be speaking tomorrow, or Archbishop Nathaniel, to give us some of his input if he would so desire. The bishops have indicated their desire to work together as individuals, as part of their jurisdictions and with their mother churches, so that the process is going to be as smoothly as possible. They want to meet regularly with the fellow bishops in the same geographic regions. They want to strengthen unity on the local level. They want to bring clergy and laity on board in discussions of administrative unity. So this is something I think OCL, from what I understand, has been looking for many years. I think the opportunity is here. And lastly, to continue earnest discussion on canonical reorganization so that we have a real plan to present to the mother churches. Now, this is the fruit of much of our work. We'll only have a canonically united church if we are able to have that as our fruit. But this is the garden. This is the work that needs to be done. The soil has to be tilled. The weeds have to be pulled out. The seed has to be planted. The ground has to be fertilized and watered. And it is through efforts of people like yourself, working with the clergy, working with the bishops, that are going to bring us to the realization, that fruit that we all hope for, one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, unified together to preach the gospel, to evangelize the people of this country. Thank you.